What the hell, he managed through gritted teeth. Your neural patterns are synchronizing with hers, Drex said, amazement in his voice as he watched the medical display. The bond you shared, it's becoming permanent. The pain subsided, replaced by an overwhelming sense of connection. Ben could feel Luax's consciousness stirring, weak but present, intertwined with his own in ways that defied explanation. Knowledge flowed between them, his combat training, her medical expertise, merging and complementing. 1 minute to detonation, the shuttle's computer announced dispassionately. Ben pushed the engines beyond safety parameters, his newly enhanced understanding of the shuttle's systems courtesy of Luax's knowledge now residing in his mind, allowing him to extract every ounce of speed. The explosion, when it came, was spectacular. The collector vessel detonated in a sphere of blinding energy that engulfed the stellar horizon. The shock wave hit the shuttle seconds later, sending it tumbling despite Ben's best efforts. Warning lights flashed across the control panel as the shuttle stabilized. Ben ran a quick systems check, damaged but functional. The escape pods from the wandering star appeared on the scanner, all intact. Everyone made it, he breathed in relief. A soft moan from the medical berth drew his attention. Luax's eyes fluttered open, finding his immediately. The connection between them surged, no longer just telepathic, but something deeper, a true melding of minds. Ben, she whispered, her voice weak but clear. You're inside my head, and you're in mine, he replied, moving to her side. Drex says the bond has become permanent. I can feel it. Her fingers brushed his cheek. Your memories, your knowledge, they're part of me now. The lead collector, regaining consciousness in his restraints, laughed bitterly. How fitting. The specimen and the soldier, permanently bonded. Such a pairing would fetch an astronomical price. Ben turned to him, a dangerous smile playing across his lips. You're not in a position to be making assessments. Perhaps not. The collector's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, but others will come. What you two have become, it's unprecedented, valuable beyond measure. Let them come, Ben said simply, taking Luax's hand in his. Through their bond, he felt her agreement, a fierce determination matching his own. Drex cleared his throat. The nearest Federation outpost is 6 hours away. We should rendezvous with the escape pods and set course. As Ben returned to the pilot seat, he felt Luax's presence in his mind stronger now, recovering. Her thoughts intertwined with his, creating a seamless dialogue that required no words. We're going to have to figure this out, he projected. To her, together, she agreed, her mental voice tinged with that familiar playful tone. Though I must say, having access to all your thoughts is educational. Despite everything, Ben laughed. Even facing an uncertain future, hunted by collectors, stranded on a damaged shuttle, her ability to make him smile remained unchanged. Some thoughts should still be private, he countered. Too late for that, came her amused reply. I've already seen everything, and I do mean everything. The familiar heat rose to his face, but this time he didn't apologize. The journey toward the Federation outpost was tense but uneventful. The wandering star's escape pods had been gathered, their occupants distributed between them and the commandeered collector shuttle. Captain Drex had taken command of the largest pod, leading their small convoy, while Ben piloted the shuttle with Luke's resting in the medical berth. Their prisoner, who had identified himself as Collector Prime Neth, remained secured in the shuttle's holding cell. He had maintained a smug silence since his earlier taunt, watching Ben and Luxa with calculating eyes. 4 hours into their journey, Luxa felt strong enough to join Ben in the cockpit. Her movements were still somewhat unsteady, but through their bond, Ben could sense her determination to push through the weakness. You should be resting, he said as she slid into the co-pilot seat. I've been inside your head for hours, she replied with a weak smile. It's exhausting, so many tactical scenarios and combat protocols, says the woman whose mind contains the complete biological taxonomy of 17 star systems. They shared a laugh, the sound oddly harmonized as their emotions resonated through the bond. It was strange, Ben thought, how quickly they had adapted to this new reality, 2 separate beings with increasingly intertwined consciousness. We should interrogate him, Luxa said, nodding toward the rear of the shuttle where Neth was held. While we have the chance, Ben nodded, setting the autopilot. Together, he might be more susceptible to your telepathic abilities now that they're amplified by our bond. Neth watched them approach with that same calculating gaze. The bonded pair arrives. Have you come to understand your value yet? We're not interested in our market price, Ben said coldly. We want information about your organization. The collectors have existed for millennia, Neth replied, his four eyes blinking in that unsettling sequence. We preserve biological uniqueness across the galaxy. By kidnapping and harvesting sentient beings, Luxa countered. Neth's lipless mouth curved into what might have been a smile. A crude characterization. We are curators of evolutionary excellence. Ben felt Luax's consciousness brush against his a silent request for permission. He nodded slightly, and together they focused their combined mental energy on Neth. The collector's eyes widened as he felt their intrusion. Impressive, he hissed, but futile. My neural implants are designed to resist telepathic probing. Your implants were designed to resist standard alien abilities, Luxa corrected. What we have is something else entirely. Ben felt the strange sensation of Luxa guiding his thoughts, showing him how to focus his mental energy. Together, they pushed against Neth's mental barriers, finding the weak points in his defenses. Images flooded their shared consciousness. A massive space station hidden in an uncharted nebula, laboratories filled with specimens from countless species, and most disturbing of all, a chamber containing dozens of aliens connected to machines that harvested their telepathic energy. The Nexus, Neth whispered, realizing they'd broken through. You've seen it. What are you doing to those aliens? Luxa demanded, her voice shaking. Creating the future, Neth replied. Telepathic abilities are merely the beginning. With enough specimens and enough research, we can unlock the full potential of consciousness itself. More images surface plans for a device that could amplify telepathic abilities across vast distances, controlling minds en masse. The collectors weren't just trafficking in rare biological traits. They were building a weapon of unprecedented power. How many of my people have you taken? Luxa asked. 37 to date, but you would have been the prize. A natural telepath of your strength appears perhaps once in a generation. Ben broke the mental connection, his disgust overwhelming. And now you're planning to weaponize these abilities? Evolution is weaponization, Neth replied simply. The strong survive by dominating the weak. It is the way of all species, not humans, Ben said firmly. We advance by cooperation, by lifting each other up. Neth's laugh was cold. How charmingly naive. Your species has a particularly violent history, Lieutenant Olson. We've evolved beyond that, Ben insisted. We've learned from our mistakes, perhaps. Or perhaps you simply haven't been tested properly yet. Neth leaned forward, his restraints creaking. The bond you share with the alien, it's unprecedented. A human mind shouldn't be capable of sustaining such a connection. Your species may be more interesting than our research suggested. Luxa placed a hand on Ben's arm, a gesture of both restraint and comfort. Through their bond, he felt her concern not for herself, but for what Neth's words implied about the danger to humanity if the collectors turned their attention toward Earth. The Federation needs to know about this, she said quietly. About the Nexus, about their plans. Ben nodded, his resolve hardening. And they will, as they returned to the cockpit, leaving Neth to his contemplation. Luxa's fingers intertwined with Ben's. The simple physical contact intensified their mental connection, creating a feedback loop of emotions, concern, determination, and something deeper that neither had fully acknowledged. What happens when we reach the outpost? She asked softly. You'll report to your superiors. I'll be debriefed by Federation officials, and then we figure it out, Ben replied, lifting their joined hands. This bond isn't going away, and neither am I. Your duty includes protecting you, he interrupted, not just because of what's in your head, but because of what's in mine. He tapped his chest, and here, Lux's smile returned that familiar playful smirk that had captivated him from their first meeting. Lieutenant Olson, are you saying you have feelings for me? You're literally inside my mind, he pointed out. You already know the answer. I do, she admitted, but I'd like to hear it anyway. Before Ben could respond, the shuttle's proximity alert blared. A massive ship had appeared on their scanners, directly in their path. A Federation cruiser Ben identified, relief washing through him. They were safe, but through their bond, Lux's sudden spike of fear contradicted his assessment. Her eyes were wide as she stared at the approaching vessel. That's not a Federation design, she whispered. Look at the propulsion configuration. Ben looked again, this time with the benefit of Luax's knowledge flowing through their connection. She was right, the ship's engine signature matched collector technology. How did they find us so quickly? He muttered, already plotting evasive maneuvers. From the holding cell, Neth's voice carried with smug satisfaction. Did you really think we would hunt such valuable specimens without a contingency plan? Incoming transmission, Luxa announced, her fingers dancing across the controls with newfound expertise borrowed from Ben's military training. The view screen flickered to life, revealing another collector with the same elongated head and four eyes as Neth. Collector shuttle, this is Harvester Command. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance is futile. Ben exchanged a glance with Luxa, their shared consciousness already formulating a plan. The emergency beacon, he projected to her. Earth military frequency. Already on it, she replied silently, her hands moving beneath the console where the collectors couldn't see. Aloud, Ben said, "This is Lieutenant Ben Olsen. We surrender, on condition that the escape pods are allowed to proceed unharmed. You are in no position to negotiate, human," the collector commander replied. "However, our interest is solely in you and the alien telepath. The others are irrelevant." "Then we'll comply," Ben said, feigning resignation. Powering down engines now, as he made a show of reducing thrust, Luxa activated the shuttle's emergency beacon, modified to transmit on a classified Earth military frequency. The message was simple but contained encoded coordinates and a priority authentication code from Ben's military database, now accessible to Luxa through their bond. "How long until they realize what we're doing?" Luxa asked mentally. "They won't," Ben assured her. "The signal is designed to be undetectable to non-human communication systems. And how long until help arrives? If there's an Earth vessel within range, minutes. If not," Luxa's hand found his, squeezing gently. "Then we improvise. It's what humans are good at, isn't it?" The collector vessel extended a docking tube connecting to the shuttle with a metallic clang. Through the viewport, they could see armored collectors preparing to board. "I need you to trust me," Ben said, both aloud and through their bond. What happens next might seem extreme. Luax's smirk returned that familiar expression that had first captivated him. "I'm inside your head, remember? I already know your plan. It's insane, reckless, and exactly what I'd expect from a human. Is that a compliment?" "Absolutely." The airlock cycled open, and 4 heavily armed collectors entered the shuttle. Ben and Luxa raised their hands in apparent surrender. "Where is Collector Prime Neth?" demanded the lead collector. "In the holding cell," Ben replied, nodding toward the rear of the shuttle. 2 collectors moved to check on their leader while the others kept weapons trained on Ben and Luxa. Through their bond, Ben could feel Luxa counting down silently. 3, 2, 1. The shuttle's lights flickered and died as Luxa remotely triggered an electromagnetic pulse, a feature of the collector's shuttle they'd discovered through their shared knowledge. In the momentary darkness, Ben moved with lightning speed, disarming the nearest collector and using the alien's own weapon against the boarding party. Luxa, drawing on Ben's combat training through their bond, executed a perfect takedown of the second collector. By the time emergency lighting activated, all 4 collectors lay unconscious. "Collector Prime Neth," Ben called, approaching the holding cell. "Your rescue party has failed." Neth's expression remained impassive. "There are 100 more warriors aboard the Harvester. You've merely delayed the inevitable, have we?" Ben smiled coldly. "You know so much about other species, but you've underestimated humans. We're not just adaptable, we're vindictive when threatened." A new alarm sounded, proximity alerts warning of multiple vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel directly behind them. Through the viewport, a magnificent sight appeared. 3 Earth battle cruisers, their weapon systems already targeting the Collector Harvester. "Collector vessel, this is Admiral Clyde of the Earth Defense Force," a stern voice announced over all communication channels. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." This is not a negotiation. The Collector Harvester, outgunned and surrounded, had no choice but to comply. Within minutes, Earth Marines were securing both vessels, their efficient professionalism a stark contrast to the collector's arrogance. Admiral Clyde himself boarded the shuttle, his weathered face breaking into a rare smile at the sight of Ben. "Lieutenant Olsen, your distress signal mentioned something about a telepathic bond and a galactic-level threat. Care to explain, sir?" Ben saluted. "This is Luxa, medical officer of the trading vessel Wandering Star. We've uncovered a collector operation targeting telepathic species for weapons development." "And this bond?" Clyde asked, glancing between them. Luxa stepped forward. A side effect of our encounter with the collectors. We share consciousness, his military knowledge, my medical expertise. Fascinating, Clyde murmured, and potentially invaluable for human-alien relations. The next hours passed in a blur of debriefings and medical examinations. The Earth Defense Force secured the collector harvester, freed Captain Drex and the other escape pods, and began coordinating a major operation against the Nexus facility based on the intelligence Ben and Luxa had extracted from Neth. Finally, alone in guest quarters aboard Clyde's flagship, Ben and Luxa found a moment of peace. Through their bond, exhaustion and relief mingled with something deeper, a connection that transcended their unexpected neural link. What happens now? Luxa asked, echoing her question from earlier. Your admiral seems to think our bond has diplomatic value. It does, Ben acknowledged, but that's not why I want to stay with you. He took her hands in his, the blue of her skin contrasting with his tan human complexion. When I first saw you in that transport bay, I had no idea you could read my thoughts. I was embarrassed when I realized you knew exactly what I was thinking. I remember, she said, that familiar smirk playing across her lips. You apologized, and you said there was no need. Ben smiled at the memory. You were right. Those thoughts, inappropriate as they seemed, were honest. Just like what I'm feeling now. Through their bond, he let her feel everything, not just desire, but admiration, respect, and love that had grown from their shared ordeal. The collectors wanted to exploit our differences, he continued, but they inadvertently showed us how powerful we can be together. Human determination, alien insight were stronger as one than either could be alone. Are you proposing an alliance, Lieutenant? Luxa teased, moving closer. I'm proposing everything, he replied, drawing her into his arms. A partnership, a future, whatever comes next, we face it together. As their lips met, their bond flared brilliantly, thoughts and emotions flowing freely between them. In that perfect moment of connection, both physical and mental, they understood a truth the collectors had never grasped. True evolution came not from domination, but from union, the blending of strengths, the sharing of burdens, the celebration of differences. 6 months later, the newly commissioned Earth-Alien Joint Task Force celebrated its first major victory, the liberation of the Nexus facility and the rescue of all captive telepaths. At the ceremony, Lieutenant Commander Ben Olsen stood proudly beside Special Consultant Luxa, their hands clasped as Admiral Clyde announced the formation of a permanent diplomatic corps dedicated to protecting vulnerable species from exploitation. The collectors believed strength came from harvesting the unique traits of others, Clyde declared. Humanity believes strength comes from standing together, from mutual respect and cooperation. As applause filled the hall, Luxa leaned close to Ben, her thoughts flowing directly into his mind. He's giving humans all the credit again. Does it bother you? Ben asked silently. Not at all, she replied, that familiar smirk appearing. It's rather endearing how you humans always think you've invented cooperation. Ben laughed aloud, drawing curious glances. Some thoughts should still be private, you know. Too late for that, Luxa countered, squeezing his hand. Besides, I've always liked your inappropriate thoughts best, as they shared a private smile. Both knew that what had begun with an embarrassing moment of telepathic intrusion had evolved into something neither could have imagined, a bond that transcended species, a love that defied explanation, and a partnership that would help reshape the galaxy. And it had all started with a dirty thought and an unapologetic smirk.